He wasn't hiding beneath the bed. He wasn't in the closet. He was right there at the dinner table, hiding in plain sight. As a child, they called him. But despite his centuries of experience, his eyes were empty and icy. His face was pale and smooth, and he never got older. He never went to bed. He never wept. He never craved candy or toys. He craved something else, something far more sinister. He preferred the shadows, lurking just beyond the reach of the flickering candlelight. His parents, their faces etched with a perpetual terror, never spoke of him. They knew what was true. They did not have a son of their own. He was something ancient, something evil, something that feasted on fear. His laughter was a chilling whisper, a prelude to unimaginable horrors. For he was the lullaby vampire, and every October he needed to feed. The once pleasant suburb of Hollow Creek in upstate New York was now shrouded in fear. The vibrant hues of autumn leaves couldn't mask the palpable dread that hung in the air. A curse fell upon the town each year as the crisp October air swept through the decaying buildings. It was a chilling ritual, as predictable as the falling leaves. One child would always vanish without a trace, always in their prime. They were kidnapped in the middle of the night, their laughter was stifled, and their bedrooms were left eerily empty. The townsfolk called it the October Curse.
At first I thought I imagined it, but no. Someone was there. In this setting, no one should have been present. Houses and other vehicles were absent. In the middle of the forest, at this hour, who would knock on a van door? I stood up quietly. I didn't turn on the light. I stared at the door for a while. There was no second knock. But I felt it. Someone was out there. I pulled out my flashlight. Despite the fear in me, I cracked the door open slightly. A man was standing right there. He looked to be in his late 40s, but his face was sunburned and his beard was messy. His clothes were worn out. He had on a dusty jacket. His shoes were covered in mud. "Hey man," he said. His voice was calm and low. "I'm camping a bit down the trail. Any chance you've got some food to spare?" He didn't seem to be lying, but something about his tone was off. Very flat. I mean, it's the middle of the night, deep in the woods, and a guy shows up asking for food. How would you proceed? But his eyes. They weren't really on me. They were looking over the van. I reluctantly gave him a small container containing some leftovers. He walked away without saying thanks. However, he did not immediately leave. He paused briefly before vanishing into the trees. He had his back turned, but his head was slightly skewed. It felt like he was glancing at me from the corner of his eye. But I'm not sure. I closed the door. Please. He had his back turned. It was locked twice. There was also a bolt from the inside. I secured everything. I sat in bed for a while. Heard nothing. Turned off the lights in the van and watched through the windows. No one in sight. But I couldn't shake the unease. Half an hour passed. My eyes had adjusted to the dark. I was quietly scanning outside from the corner of the window. And then I saw him. The man remained present. He was standing at the back right side of the van, between the pines. He didn't move. Through the trees, his silhouette could be seen. And I saw. Because he was looking at me. Directly at the window. For a few seconds at a time, he remained still. Then I would look away. Then turn his head back toward me. He did this over and over again. I froze. Didn't turn on the light. Hold my breath. Part of me wanted to yell out, "What do you want?" But I couldn't make a sound. I wanted to leave, but I didn't have the courage to drive off in the middle of the night. I had no choice but to wait for morning. He stayed there all night. Did absolutely nothing. Just wandered around, occasionally staring. I didn't look up. One hand holding a knife, the other holding my phone. No signal. I kept watch on the door, the windows, even the ceiling vent. He'd come right up to the tree trunks, the back of the van, even to the edge of the tire marks. I still don't know what he wanted. Did he really need food? Or was that simply a pretext? He said he was camping nearby, but there was no sign. No tent. No fire pit. No trash. It's possible that I stumbled into his space by accident. I kept thinking about that man all the way home. I considered contacting the police, but what would I say? This happened in October 2023. My goal was to go camping by myself, but things didn't go as planned. Although it hadn't yet gotten too cold, the leaves on the trees had begun to change color. I love this time of year. Quiet, not too busy. Peaceful. There had been a buildup of tasks at work, so I took 3 days off to clear my head. I put my phone on silent, shut down my laptop. A defunct forest research center was mentioned to me about 3.5 hours. I saw an old concrete structure beyond a hill. It was only 1 story high, had a moss-covered front, and was still standing. The windows were broken but had iron bars. Despite the cracked walls, it appeared to be accessible. As I stepped inside, I was hit with the smell of dust and damp. The floor was stable. Inside were old metal cabinets and scattered papers. I cleared the floor and rolled out my mat. It was quiet, but the solitude didn't immediately sink in. I felt at ease at first. I stepped outside and sat on the concrete steps at the entrance. In front of me, the forest, dense trees, almost no gaps between them. As the sun set, the sky turned orange. It was truly stunning. I heated my food, a can of soup, and some crackers. I was tired too, so I wanted to sleep as soon as possible. I went inside and closed the door. There was no lock, but I shoved a heavy table against it, just in case. I turned off my flashlight. Some dim light filtered inside. I couldn't sleep at first. The building was too quiet, and after a while, that silence became unsettling. There was absolutely no sound, not even wind. Eventually, I drifted off, but at some point, I opened my eyes. I had no idea what woke me up. I listened to it then. Footprints on the gravel. 1, 2, 3, then silence. Very clear. It sounded like a person walking, the sound of shoes stepping on dirt.